Welcome to the Centre for Legal Innovation's Legal Techy Tuesday series. We are really excited to have Lauren Hertel here with us today, Director from Disburse It, to give a demonstration of the legal tech that is changing the disbursement funding marketplace. Again, welcome. Fabulous to have you here. And now over to Lauren.
Great. Thank you very much. So I'm Lauren Hertel. I'm the director. I'm one of the directors of Disburse It. And so I'm just here today to talk to you a little bit more about our company and our new legal technology and the disbursement funding industry as a whole. So to kick us off, I'm going to start with a couple of questions. So I want you to have a think and think about how many of you have clients that have been involved in a personal injury case or maybe a dispute with a supplier. And what about you personally? Have you been in a car accident? Maybe you've been through a partnership dispute. But all of us that are here today should be keenly aware of the high cost of litigation and the barrier that this actually presents for many people to access our justice system. So this is where Disburse It comes in. So at Disburse It, we've got a very simple purpose. Our idea is to increase access to justice by building an online marketplace for disbursement funding. So what is disbursement funding to start with? So disbursement funding is essentially loans that are available to law firms and their clients to help with the disbursement expenses in litigation. So as a company, what are the problems that we are trying to address? So the first one there is litigation is expensive. We've already talked about this as lawyers, and if you've ever been involved in litigation, you should be well aware of the costs that are associated. Now, because litigation is expensive, this is actually a problem for law firms. So on the personal injury side of things, no win, no fee style fee arrangements are great, but they only apply to the lawyer's own fees. So any disbursements such as court fees, counsel fees, medical reports, etc., still need to be paid upfront by the law firms themselves, and then they get reimbursed months or sometimes years later once the case is actually finalised. So this can actually make it quite difficult for law firms to manage their cash flow. This becomes a problem for law firms and is a barrier to growth in law firms when they're having to spend their own capital and utilise their own cash flow in this way to cover disbursements. That prevents them from investing in other areas of the law firm. So, bringing on more staff, taking on more cases, or perhaps even doing things like more pro bono work. This also presents a barrier for lawyers themselves. So there's particularly those younger lawyers that might be wanting to start out their own firm, go out on their own. There's actually quite a lot of capital requirement in order to do that, particularly if you're wanting to go into a litigation space. So as a newer lawyer starting out, someone with their own firm, carrying those capital expenses can be quite difficult. So it's another barrier to actually entering in as a lawyer in your own firm. Now, the cost of litigation and how expensive it is not just a problem for lawyers, it's also a problem for clients. So just have a think, how many of your SME clients have a litigation budget? Now, my guess is that it's none. So this means that it is just as difficult for clients to manage their own cash flow when they get unexpected legal bills. So in some circumstances, this actually means that the costs involved in pursuing a case simply make seeking justice unfeasible in certain circumstances. So, from a client and a firm point of view, the cost of litigation is a problem. And something that you may have heard of in the media and in the industry is litigation funding. Now, this has been in the spotlight recently, particularly in light of the Law Reform Commission inquiry into this matter relatively recently. But litigation funding is really only available at the top end of the market. So it is typically for class actions or cases that are worth $1 million or more. So because it is geared towards that high end, it is really not much help to everyday plaintiffs or your SME clients. So this is where disbursement funding comes in. So disbursement funding versus litigation funding, to give you a bit of an idea about the differences between the two. So as a whole, disbursement funding is aimed at the lower end of the market. It's loans available to law firms and their clients to cover disbursement expenses in litigation. So the loans are repayable on finalisation of the case or expiry of the loan term, whichever occurs first. And generally speaking, the funder plays no role in the management of the case at all. Now, the size of the loans tends to be quite small. So you're looking at potentially, something as little as $2,000 for one medical report, but it can go up to, much larger amounts if you're dealing with a larger case or something where a lot of expert evidence is required. But the beauty about disbursement funding is that, it can operate really at that small end and provide funding for those much smaller expenses. Now, there's a couple of different models from a funding point of view as to how these funds are paid for and what sort of interest rate or fees might be charged. So a standard model is an interest rate is charged. So that's a stock standard interest rate. Our research indicates that generally sits somewhere between 20 and 30%. But there are funders out there in the market that, in certain circumstances, for certain types of cases, might charge, 50, sometimes up to 100% interest rates. So that is out there. But yeah, generally speaking, that 20 to 30% is where an interest rate might sit. Now, some funders charge a fixed fee. So regardless of the length of the loan, there's a particular percentage of the funds that are advanced that's charged as a fixed fee. So that could be something like 40%, 50%, and regardless of whether the case goes for 6 months, 1 year, 2 years before those funds are repaid, that fixed fee is what's charged regardless of the length of the loan. So you can see just with those two different styles of revenue, shall we say, that some particular loan products are better suited to a short-term solution, whereas others, such as a fixed fee, might be a larger percentage to begin with, but if the case is looking at going for a much longer period of time, that might be the better option there. So there's lots of different things in the market that are available for different circumstances. Now, another way to look at disbursement funding and what might be a good option for you and your clients is whether or not that funding product is a recourse or a non-recourse product. So what that means is if it's a recourse product, regardless of the outcome of the case, the funds still need to be repaid. So that is a feature of some products, but there is also products in the market that are non-recourse. So that means that if the case is unsuccessful, the loan doesn't have to be repaid. So, those types of products are out there in the market and can be found. So, again, another way to look at a different type of disbursement funding product and what might be suitable for you and your clients. Now, another thing to consider is that some funders will require a guarantee from a law firm. So again, just something to consider there. So there are lots of products and lots of different options in the market when it comes to disbursement funding. Now, on the other hand, we'll have a bit of a look at litigation funding to give you an idea of how it's different. So from a revenue model with litigation funding, they generally operate on a ratio. So, for example, that ratio might be 1 to 10. So a litigation funder is willing to commit, let's say, $1 million to a case that's worth at least $10 million. So that's how they work out whether or not particular cases are worthwhile funding and how much a litigation funder would be willing to fund in those circumstances. So given the sorts of ratios that we're talking about here, this is why litigation funding is particularly suited for class actions. So that can be general liability, but also insolvency and shareholder dispute class action matters. And it's also suitable then for very large-scale commercial litigation. So the funders use this ratio to, look at how much they should be investing in a particular case. And then once the case is actually settled, they look at taking a percentage of the settlement that is achieved or the judgment that is achieved from that case. So typically speaking, that's 25 to 35% of the settlement. Now, also, litigation funders tend to have a lot more involvement in the case. They can be having a say in, specific lawyers that are appointed, specific law firms. Sometimes they take as active a role as actually going to court and being there with the parties that are involved in the litigation. So it can be, really quite a hands-on role. Because of all of these different matters, litigation funders are very selective about what sorts of cases they will take on. And for this reason, it can take months, sometimes up to a year or more, before a funder actually commits and decides to invest in a particular case. So, it's not necessarily the fastest process in that respect. All right, so that gives you a bit of an overview about the differences between disbursement funding and litigation funding. So you've got a bit better idea about where the two options sit and an understanding that, disbursement funding really is there at the bottom end of the market and is really there to support your everyday plaintiffs, your SME clients, and, really your everyday bread and butter style litigation. All right, now there are still some current market challenges with the disbursement funding industry, and that's where, we're looking to really make a difference with Disburse It. So the first one there is that there are no online products. So there are funders out there in the market, there's lots of options available, but there's no way to actually find those products quite quickly. If a law firm is after funding for one of their cases for one of their clients, they've got to ring around different funders and physically make an inquiry, whether that be via email or via phone, to find out more information about what products are available, what interest rate might be charged, what fixed fee might be charged, all of those different matters. Now, this also flows into the next point. So because there are no products that are, readily available and searchable online, that means that there's no fast comparison. So shopping around requires law firms to call multiple funders, submit multiple proposals, get multiple quotes, shall we say, from different funders about what they have available, before they're able to undertake any sort of comparison and make a decision about what's right for them and their client. So, this is obviously quite time consuming and, really isn't a necessary process that has to be undertaken in the current market that we're in. Now, the next point that's up there is that there's a document-heavy application and management process. So some funders require, a whole raft of documentation to be physically provided. Same way with actually managing a disbursement funding loan once it's in place. Some funders don't have their own online portals or anything like this where you're able to easily submit electronic information. There's a lot of emails back and forward, Excel spreadsheets, all of these sorts of things in the industry. So it's just not a streamlined process. So there's a lot of scope for improvement there. So this is where we see Disburse It coming in, and our Disburse It online marketplace is going to be the solution to all of these issues. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of how our Disburse It marketplace works, and then I'll do a longer demonstration in a little bit to give you a good feel for what our platform actually looks like. So our marketplace is really simple. The first step is that law firms sign up to Disburse It. So we've got a really simple online application form. So after that, once the law firm is signed up, the lawyers in that law firm are able to search for products from our range of funders. So really easy there, lots of different options available and lots of different search functionality to find a product that is right for you and your clients. Once you've actually found a product that works for you that you want to apply for, you can then apply for that product regardless of who it's with from a funding point of view through our platform. So we've got a simple application process, simple form to fill out to apply for any of the loans on our system. And then once all that's done, you're able to manage your loans through our platform and see all of your loans all in one place. So, we've got this here with lots of different functionality that you're able to access online at any time. So we've built some great features into our platform, which we're really excited about. So the first one up there is supervisor permissions. So we have tried to replicate the law firm supervision structure. So this means that junior lawyers in a law firm can do the day-to-day tasks on Disburse It, such as searching for new loans and applying for loans and filling in all of that information that's required. However, those actions must be approved by a senior lawyer or a partner, whoever the law firm gives the right permissions to, before it actually takes effect on the platform. So, that's a really good feature and an easy way to get the day-to-day work done and then have a partner sign it off before it takes effect and, before that application goes to the funder or, before that particular invoice goes to the funder for payment. We've also built in loan repayment calculators. So we've made it really easy to see at any given time, including a future date as well, how much is repayable on the loan. So there's no need to apply for payout figures in advance. And if you know that you've got a settlement conference coming up, you can put in that future date and, based on what's been paid out on the loan so far, you can see what would have to be repaid as of that settlement date. We've also built in automated payment flows. So we're working with a payment provider so that it's really easy for law firms to simply upload a disbursement invoice to a case with a click of the button, and then the funder can approve that. And this triggers a direct debit process from the funder's account to go and pay that third-party invoice provider. So, we're able to not just reimburse law firms if they've got expenses that they've already incurred that they want to be reimbursed on the case, but we can also pay those third-party providers directly through our platform. So really simple process and, automated, easy payment flow. And then finally, of course, law firms are able to review all their loans in one place. So regardless of which different funder they might be with, different cases, all of those things, it's all in one convenient location that you can look at. All right, so as far as our Disburse It revenue model goes, we've got a really simple model that we've implemented here. So we charge an origination fee and then transaction fees on each payment for the loan. So that works out to be a minimum of $180 per loan, and that only increases if there are, many more payments that are actually made under that particular loan. Once the loan's actually finalised, we take a small commission for each loan. That's part of the interest or the fixed fee that is paid. And we've set it up this way, which means that there's no subscription fees for either law firms or funders to use our marketplace. So it's completely free to sign up and have a look around. And, it's only once you actually, as a law firm, apply for funding that there are any costs actually involved. All right. So we see that there's a lot of benefits to the industry that our service is able to provide. So the first one there is that funders can expand their market reach nationwide. So a lot of the funders that we've spoken with tend to be quite focused in certain geographic areas because that's where they've been able to establish relationships with law firms because, it is this model of, needing to call funders or contact funders to get information and details about products. So this way, funders are actually able to put their products on our system and reach a much wider audience. This also means then that law firms have access to more competitive loan options. So, given that there is now this way to be able to compare loans in the market and see what is available, what's right for your client, what's right for your firm, what interest rates might be charged, all of those other things, that creates this competition that, you're able to find the right product for you and your client at the right price. And then the other benefit as well there with our marketplace is that both lawyers and funders can automate their loan application and management processes. And, like we've said, it's all in one place. All right, so the size of the disbursement funding industry in Australia is actually quite large. There have been a number of different sort of looks at this particular industry and what it might be worth. But from what we can see and our research, it's that sits about 120 to 150 million in funding. So if we take an average loan size as well of $2,500, like I said, it can be much higher or, potentially lower if it's a smaller disbursement fee. But as an average size of $2,500, that equates to 48 to 60,000 potential individual loans, in the market. So it is quite sizable. There is a lot out there. The benefit that we have as Disburse It is that we're first to market with this particular type of service and we've got no direct competitors. Now, as always, there is room for growth. We don't see that, simply having this marketplace is the end of the road. It is very much just the beginning, and we're really excited about the work that we can do in the industry to actually grow disbursement funding as a whole. So the first thing that we're looking at doing is increasing awareness. So that's part of this presentation today. We see ourselves not just as providing this marketplace, but also being an educator in the industry. So we're looking at making as many law firms as possible aware of this funding option and aware of disbursement funding, so that you're able to uptake it and use it to help not just your own firm but your clients, and just access to justice in general. We also see our role as fostering diversification and competition in the industry. So a healthy competition with more funders in the market is, a key goal that we have. And we see that there's a lot of opportunity to offer varying products for the funders, and there's still plenty of market share to go around, particularly with the education and awareness work that we're looking at doing as well. Also, part of this, fostering diversification and competition is being able to increase access to justice. So there are some funders out there that operate in the not-for-profit and charitable sector, and we really want to bring those on board with Disburse It as well. And, we really see this as a key part, that no one with a legitimate case should be barred from accessing justice due to a lack of funds. So, we really want to bring as many users as possible, both funders and law firms, onto this platform to use it as the go-to way for accessing funding in legal cases. We're also working on channel partnerships. There's a lot of organisations out there that provide disbursements and other key legal services as well. So one of the channel partnerships that we've set up currently is with Medical Specialist Booking Centre. So that is a company that organises and books specialist appointments for medico-legal examinations in the personal injury litigation space. So anybody that is using MSBC to book those appointments can also talk to us through that channel partnership about getting funding for that report as well. So we're looking to strengthen these partnerships and establish partnerships as well with other key legal service providers, and that's all going to help with the payment processing and getting those funds turned around as fast as possible where they need to go. And one key point that we're really excited about is the capacity that we have to work with the industry to expand the loan products that are available and, provide products that are suitable to more types of cases. So the key area here that we're looking to expand into is things like commercial litigation and also family law. Particularly with commercial litigation, that's becoming far more document heavy, and we see disbursement funding as being a key tool to be able to assist with that commercial litigation. So, if you've got an SME client, they might have had some sort of an issue with a large corporate, large multinational, and, they've got a legitimate case, they're wanting to pursue that, they're going through the court processes, and then, they have a very quick turnaround time for a discovery order or something like this, and next minute you've got to tell your client, well, you now need to go back through all of your employees' emails for the last 3 years to find all the relevant emails about this particular point in the case. Now, for an SME, that's actually quite a large undertaking. It's very time consuming. They likely don't have the staff or the capacity to be able to do that themselves. So there are organisations and legal service providers out there that provide this sort of forensic document analysis, which, is a key component of litigation, and we're seeing this more and more. And those types of costs are a disbursement and can be funded through disbursement funding. So it makes it much easier for those SME clients when they're faced with this situation to be able to access the assistance that they need to keep their case going, and then also be able to pay for it as well. So we really do see disbursement funding as being, a really win-win situation for lots of different styles of litigation, and we're really excited to work with funders to be able to expand the offering into these areas. All right, so a little bit about our team. I'm Lauren Hertel, one of the directors. So I'm a former lawyer. I did a lot of work mostly in maritime law and insurance law, and so I worked at mid and top tier law firms and in-house. So I've got the legal background to know the ins and outs of litigation and how this product will work. And we've got Michael Janjgava, who is another director and one of our co-founders. So Michael has got over 20 years' experience in the business world. He's been a senior business manager in technology and compliance, and he's got a background in IT system development. So, not only does he have the business expertise to be able to, push Disburse It forward, he's also got that IT background, which is, really useful and great assistance with actually building this technology that we're using. And then finally, we've got Evan Raktivant, who's our Chief Technology Officer. So Evan is a former Apple technician. He's got experience with IT system development and operations. So between him and Michael, they're working really hard on all of our technology to be able to get our marketplace up and running and bring it live as soon as possible. All right, so we've got our website. If you're interested in, any more details, please register your interest. We're always happy to talk to law firms and funders, anybody that's interested in the industry, and look at ways that, we might be able to, assist you and your clients. So jump on there today, www.disbursit.com. Have a look around and register your interest. So now I'm going to take you through, just a really quick look at our prototype of our software, so you can actually get a feel for what it really looks like and how easy it really is to use. So, okay, stop that one there. And now I'm just going to flick over to the prototype. Okay, there we go. So here it is. This is the website online, and how easy it really is to use this service. So if we start off with getting started, here we are. Welcome to Disburse It. So create a new firm account. As a law firm, you jump on here, simply fill in those details there, and off we go. All right, and then you fill in your personal details there as well. You're able to pick the role that you have in your firm, and that's going to correspond to the different types of permissions that you have available in the system. And then we go next. So confirmation code is going to come through via email. Very easy. We've got it there. Cut and paste, pop it in. So we've got that security and two-factor verification built in. And then every firm will have their own subdomain. So everybody in the firm is going to be linked together. So you're able to see as a firm everything that's going on. Invite your colleagues. It's always important to have your friends on board. And that's it. So that's really as simple as it is for a law firm to be able to sign up to Disburse It in the first instance. So let's now go through and have a look once you've actually signed up, the process of searching for and finding a product to apply for. So we will log in this time. So pop the firm subdomain in first, then your own details, and off we go. And here we are. This is, what you're going to see as your dashboard as a lawyer when you come on. So if we go and we have a look and browse a loan, here we've got all different types of loans that are in our system, and it's just a matter of searching there to find one that you're after. So you can narrow it down with state of jurisdiction, the type of case that it might be, expected a loan amount, and the length of the loan. Now, if there's a particular funder that you're interested in as well, you can just search through via that funder name. So here we've got Hello Funding, and we've popped in a couple of details about the state of jurisdiction and the type of case. Now, for the expected amount, we've got a slider here that will narrow the options down further. And here we go. This is the best product for what you're after here. So let's go in and have a look there. So now I should just say as well that everything that is in our prototype is all dummy data. So we've just done this to give you an idea about what it's all actually going to look like. So here we've got the personal injury basics loan, all of the details and the ins and outs of what it's there for, all of the what might be considered fine print about the type of interest rate and what fees might be charged is all here in this particular part of the program. And then if you've had a look through there and decided that that's the loan that you want, apply now. So really simple application process. You pop your details in, your own firm case ID. This is where we pop in here. If you're a junior lawyer, you can put in your case supervisor, so the partner that's overseeing the case, so they can, have a look and approve things as well. Case type, jurisdiction, and off we go. More details about the loan itself, your client's name, the types of disbursements that you would be looking at paying for. And off we go. Other parties' names. So this is from a conflict point of view that we're able to, as a funder, have a look at all of these details. All right, here we have a summary of that loan. You can have one last look at all of the details, whether you need to amend anything. And if you're happy with everything, apply now. You get the terms and conditions for both the funder and Disburse It to have a look at. You've got to accept both and submit. So that's really as simple, as it is for actually applying for a loan. So once you've done that, it will take you to back to your screen here. All right. So if we have a look at a case that is, already in play, you can go to this one here. So you can see here that this is a case that has been ongoing for a little while. There have been a couple of disbursements that are already paid. We've got the loan calculator over here where you're able to have a look at the what's been paid and what the repayment value actually is at that particular future date. We've also got the transaction history, so you're able to see in a really easy format all of the transactions that have been made on that particular case. And then it's really easy to be able to finalise that loan once everything has been paid for, to actually download that invoice and get that final figure to pay and finalise the loan. So if we have a look over here to have a look at some of the other features as well, we've got over here My Loans and My Firm. So this is where you can get a snapshot of everybody that is in the firm. Down here, a couple of people that, are newer have applied to be a part of the firm. So as you've got new staff joining and those sorts of things, they're able to come on board and they'll be in the dashboard there. So, we've really tried to make it, like I said, as user-friendly as possible and as easy to navigate as possible. All right, so we're back to the beginning. There we go. So that just gives you a quick look at what our Disburse It marketplace is like, and how easy it really is going to be for everybody to use once we go live. So I hope you've enjoyed the presentation today. Thank you very much for listening along. Like I said, go to our website, www.disbursit.com, to have a look around, register your interest, and get in touch with us if you've got any further questions.
Thanks, Lauren, for joining us today. It was really interesting to see your demonstration of how Disburse It compares disbursement funding products so law firms can find one that's right for their firm, their clients and their cases. On that note, we will draw to a close. As you know, the Centre for Legal Innovation is very much focused on these types of webinars, this type of information sharing, collaboration and experience exchange. We're all about practical solutions and being also very solutions driven. There will be many more of these types of webinars coming up, so don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook so that you can see our upcoming events. We look forward to welcoming you back to one of our events, and thank you again very much for joining us today. Thanks, Lauren.
Great, thanks very much.